It was a bright afternoon when Maya reached the airport. She was excited. She had been waiting for this day for weeks. Maya was going to visit her mother in another city. Her mother had just recovered from surgery, and Maya couldn't wait to see her again. Maya was dressed neatly in a white blouse and jeans. She pulled her small suitcase and walked to the check-in counter. The woman behind the desk smiled and said, "You're all set, Miss Maya. You have seat 2A in first class." Maya smiled back. She had saved for months to buy this first-class ticket. She wanted to travel in peace and comfort so she could reach her mother fresh and happy. After checking in, Maya sat near gate 12 and waited for her flight. She watched people pass by, some in a hurry, some relaxed, and some with kids. Everything seemed normal. But then, something strange happened. The airline staff made an announcement. "We will now begin boarding Flight 804 to Atlanta. First-class passengers, please proceed to the gate." Maya stood up and joined the short line. There were only a few people in first class. Just as she reached the gate, a white woman in a business suit walked quickly and pushed in front of her. "Excuse me," Maya said politely. "I think I was next." The woman looked at her with a cold smile. "I'm in a hurry," she said. "I need to board quickly." Before Maya could reply, the staff at the gate scanned the woman's ticket and let her through. Maya felt a little uneasy, but she stayed calm. When it was her turn, she handed her ticket to the gate agent. The agent looked at the screen and frowned. Just a moment," she said. Maya waited. The agent then whispered something to another staff member. They both looked at Maya and then at each other. "I'm sorry, miss," the first agent finally said. "It seems your seat has been changed. You've been moved to the back, economy class." Maya blinked. "There must be a mistake. I paid for first class. I have seat 2A. "Yes, but the seat has already been given to another passenger. We're really sorry. We had to adjust due to overbooking." "But that's not fair," Maya said, trying to stay calm. "That's my seat. Why would you give it to someone else?" The agent looked uncomfortable. "We're sorry, ma'am. You can take seat 27B now." Maya looked down the long list of passengers walking onto the plane. She remembered the white woman who had cut in line. Her heart sank. Could it be that her seat had been taken just because the other woman was in a hurry, or was there another reason? She looked around. No one was saying anything. No one was helping her. "I paid a lot for that seat," Maya said softly. "My mother just had surgery. I wanted to arrive fresh so I could take care of her." "I understand," the agent said, "but there's nothing we can do now. The flight is boarding. Please take your new seat." Maya stood still. Her hands were shaking, but not from fear. From anger, from pain, and from the deep feeling that something wasn't right. She slowly walked away from the gate. She sat down on a nearby bench and took a deep breath. Passengers continued to board. No one noticed the woman sitting alone, fighting back tears. Maya looked at her phone. For a moment, she thought about letting it go. She thought about just taking the economy seat and moving on. But then she remembered her father's words. Never stay silent when something feels wrong. Speak up, even if your voice shakes. Her fingers moved quickly on the screen. She wasn't texting a friend. She wasn't calling customer service. She was calling her father. And Maya's father was not just any man. The moment he picked up the phone, her voice broke. "Dad, they gave my seat away." There was silence on the line. Then came his voice, strong and steady. "I'll take care of it." Maya wiped her tears and looked up. Something was about to change. And the airline had no idea who they had just messed with. Maya held the phone tightly in her hand. Her father's voice echoed in her mind. "I'll take care of it." But what did that mean? She looked around the waiting area. Passengers were still boarding. No one seemed to notice her sitting there. No one knew what had just happened to her. No one knew that she was supposed to be in first class, until someone decided she didn't deserve that seat anymore. Maya wiped her face. She didn't want to cry, but the tears came anyway. Not just because of the seat, but because of how the airline made her feel, like she was invisible, like she didn't matter. She remembered how the white woman had pushed in front of her, how the gate agent had looked nervous, how nobody had even apologized properly. It wasn't just a mistake. It felt personal. 10 minutes passed. The final boarding call was made. Maya's phone buzzed. It was a message from her father. "Stay there. Don't get on that plane. I've made some calls." Maya's heart skipped a beat. She didn't know what he meant, but she trusted him. Her father was calm, wise, and powerful, in ways most people didn't know. While Maya sat quietly, something was happening behind the scenes. Meanwhile, inside the airport, near a private entrance, a man in a dark blue uniform stepped out of a black car. His suit was sharp. His shoes were polished. On his chest was a small badge with golden wings and a name that read, Marcus Johnson, Executive Director. Yes, he was Maya's father. Marcus didn't walk fast. He didn't need to. As he entered the staff-only area, security guards stood up straight and nodded. Some even looked nervous. He didn't say much. He didn't have to. He simply showed his ID, and the staff moved aside. He made his way straight to the operations office. Inside, 2 senior airline managers were discussing flight delays. They looked up and froze when they saw him. "Mr. Johnson," one of them said, standing up quickly, "we didn't know you were coming today." "I wasn't," Marcus said. His voice was calm, but serious. "But I heard something happened on Flight 804. A passenger was removed from first class." The managers exchanged glances. "Yes, sir. There was a seating mix-up. We had to move a guest." "My daughter," Marcus interrupted. Silence. The room suddenly felt colder. "I want the names of everyone involved," he said. "And I want access to the boarding gate." Now, back at the gate, Maya was still sitting on the bench, feeling unsure. The flight attendant was making the final head count. Soon the plane would take off, without her. Just then, the gate doors opened again. A man in a blue suit walked in. He was tall, serious, and confident. People turned to look. Even the staff looked surprised. "Maya," he said. She looked up. "Dad?" He walked over and gently placed his hand on her shoulder. "Come with me." The staff member at the gate rushed forward. "Sir, I'm sorry, but the flight is ready to depart." Marcus looked directly at her. "Not yet." He turned to Maya. "Let's go." They walked together through the gate and onto the jet bridge. Inside the plane, the cabin was quiet as passengers waited for takeoff. In first class, the white woman who had taken Maya's seat was sipping champagne. She looked relaxed. Then the door opened. Marcus stepped in. The flight attendants at the front looked confused. "Sir, can we help you?" Marcus showed his ID and badge. "You may want to stand back." He walked down the short aisle and stopped at seat 2A. The white woman looked up. "Yes, can I help you?" "You're in the wrong seat," Marcus said. She frowned. "No, this is where I was told to sit." "Not anymore." The flight attendants looked at each other, unsure what to do. Marcus didn't raise his voice. He didn't argue. He simply turned to the pilot, who had come out to see the commotion. "I'm Executive Director Marcus Johnson. This woman took my daughter's seat. Either she moves now, or this plane doesn't leave the ground." The pilot's face went pale. He nodded quickly. The flight attendants rushed to the white woman and whispered something. Her eyes widened. She stood up slowly, her face red with embarrassment. Maya watched from the doorway. "Come on, sweetheart," her father said. She walked down the aisle, quietly. People stared, some shocked, others confused. She sat down in seat 2A. Her seat. Her father leaned in and whispered, "Next time, speak up sooner. You didn't deserve that." Maya smiled. "Thanks, Dad." He gave her a nod and walked back out of the plane. The flight attendant stood frozen. The pilot cleared his throat. Prepare for takeoff. But the story wasn't over yet. Not even close. Because when the plane landed, the entire airline would feel the consequences. As the plane took off, Maya sat quietly in her seat, still trying to understand what had just happened. She looked out the window, but her mind wasn't focused on the sky. Her heart was still racing. One minute she was sitting on a bench, almost in tears, and the next, her powerful father had walked onto the plane and taken back her seat without shouting, without fighting, just with his presence. The white woman who had taken her seat was now somewhere in the back of the plane. She didn't even look up as Maya walked past her. The silence said everything. But while the plane was in the air, something much bigger was happening on the ground. Back at the airport headquarters, the airline's corporate office was buzzing. Phones were ringing. Emails were flying in. One manager after another walked quickly down the hall, whispering, panicking. The news had spread fast. Marcus Johnson just walked onto Flight 804. To the workers at the top, this wasn't just a surprise. It was a warning. Marcus wasn't just some rich man. He wasn't just a pilot or a manager. He was part of the board, someone who helped lead the airline. He had helped build its rules. He had trained people on customer care and respect. And now they had disrespected his daughter. In front of a full plane. In front of paying customers. On record. The company's public relations team was already nervous. What if he posts about it? One woman asked, what if this story goes viral? Another manager added, what if passengers recorded it? What if someone already shared it online? There was silence. Everyone in the room knew this could turn into a disaster. Inside the flight, the atmosphere changes. Meanwhile, on Flight 804, the mood had changed. Flight attendants were walking more carefully. They were quiet, avoiding Maya's row. Nobody wanted to upset her again. Even other first-class passengers looked uncomfortable. A man sitting in 2B leaned over and whispered, I saw what happened. I'm really sorry. That wasn't right. Maya gave a small smile. Thank you. He looked embarrassed. People think they can treat others any way they want, but they picked the wrong person this time. Maya nodded. She still didn't know if her father was going to do something bigger, or if this was already the end. But the truth was, this was only the beginning. The cabin crew receives a message. An hour into the flight, something strange happened. A small beep came from the intercom screen in the flight attendant's area. It was a direct message from airline headquarters. Very few messages ever came that way. Only serious ones. The head flight attendant, Sarah, read it silently. Her eyes widened. The message read, URGENT. Passenger Maya Johnson is to be treated with high priority. Any further disrespect will lead to immediate action. A full investigation is underway. Sarah felt her face turn pale. She realized who Maya was. She realized what they had done. She quickly walked to the back of the plane, where the younger flight attendant who had changed Maya's seat was standing. You didn't tell me who she was, Sarah whispered sharply. I didn't know, the young woman replied nervously. She looked like any other passenger. Sarah stared at her. You just gave away her seat to avoid conflict with that white woman. I thought it would be easier, the younger woman said softly. She was louder, and Maya was calm. That mistake might cost us our jobs, Sarah said. Meanwhile, Maya gets a surprise. Maya was relaxing now, finally sipping her juice and listening to soft music. Then suddenly, a new flight attendant approached her, one she hadn't seen before. Miss Johnson, the woman said kindly, we are very sorry for what happened earlier. Maya looked up, surprised. The attendant smiled. We'd like to offer you a full refund and free flights for a year. Also, the airline director will personally apologize after landing. Maya raised her eyebrows. She hadn't expected that. Why all of a sudden? She asked. The flight attendant's smile grew softer. Let's just say your father made a few calls. At the same time, social media wakes up. Back on the ground, a teenager who had seen the scene at the gate earlier had uploaded a short video. The title read, "Airline gives first-class seat to the white woman. Then this man walks in." The video showed Marcus walking onto the plane and calmly taking control. Within an hour, the video had over 100,000 views. People were angry. Comments flooded in. "This is why we need people in power to stand up. The way she was treated is disgusting. Good for him. That airline messed with the wrong girl." The airline's social media team rushed to respond, but it was too late. The whole world was watching. The plane finally landed. Flight 804 touched down smoothly at Atlanta Airport, but the passengers weren't in a hurry to leave. There was a strange tension in the air, like everyone was waiting for something. Maya stayed in her seat. She didn't rush to stand up like the others. She looked calm on the outside, but inside, her heart was still heavy. Yes, her father had helped her. Yes, her seat had been returned. But the pain of being pushed aside, the feeling of being treated as less than, that pain didn't disappear so easily. Suddenly, a voice came over the intercom. It wasn't the usual "thank you for flying with us." This time, it said, "Miss Maya Johnson, please remain seated. An airline representative will meet you at the gate." The passengers looked around, confused. Maya sat still, unsure what was about to happen. Outside the gate, a group of airline staff waited near the jet bridge. In the middle stood a tall woman in a dark gray blazer. Her name was Laura Preston, and she was the vice president of customer experience. This wasn't a normal day for her. She usually sat in meetings, reading reports. But today was different. When Marcus Johnson had called her personally, she knew this couldn't be ignored. Not only had they disrespected his daughter, they had created a public mess. The video from the airport had already crossed 1 million views online. News reporters were calling. Activists were tagging the airline on social media, and customers were threatening to cancel their tickets. Laura adjusted her blazer and took a deep breath. This apology had to be perfect. Back on the plane, the doors opened. Passengers slowly started getting off. Some looked at Maya with quiet respect. Others avoided her eyes. They had seen what happened, but had said nothing. Now, they just wanted to leave. When it was finally Maya's turn to exit, she picked up her bag and walked down the jet bridge. And there she saw them. 5 airline staff members standing in a line. At the center, Laura Preston. Maya stopped. "Miss Johnson," Laura said, stepping forward, "I'm deeply sorry for what happened today." Maya looked at her, but didn't say anything. Laura continued, her voice soft but serious. "You bought your ticket honestly. You followed the rules. And still, you were treated unfairly. We failed you, not just as an airline, but as people." Maya felt something shift in her heart. This wasn't a fake smile or a quick excuse. This actually felt real. "We've already suspended the staff involved," Laura said, "and we're beginning a full investigation." One of the staff members stepped forward with a thick envelope. "This is your full refund and a first-class travel voucher, anywhere in the world, for a full year." Maya took the envelope, but her eyes didn't leave Laura's face. She finally spoke. "Why now?" she asked. "Would you be here if I wasn't his daughter?" Silence. Laura looked down, then back up. "No, probably not," she admitted. That answer, that honesty, surprised everyone, even Maya. "But that's why we need to change," Laura continued, "because this should never happen to anyone. And your voice, your story, it's waking us up." Maya nodded slowly. She didn't smile. She didn't forgive. But she appreciated the truth. Outside the airport, a bigger crowd. To her shock, as Maya stepped outside, she saw a crowd of people holding signs. "Justice for Maya. We deserve equal seats. Respect has no color." Reporters were shouting questions. Cameras flashed. People clapped as Maya walked by. She was no longer just a girl who had lost her seat. She had become a symbol. Someone had recorded her father stepping onto the plane. Someone had recorded her silence, her calm strength, her pain. And now the world had seen it. Later that night, at home, Maya sat on the couch with her dad. The TV was showing news about the airline's public apology. Her story was everywhere. Her father looked at her and asked, "How are you feeling?" Maya thought for a moment. "Tired," she said, "but stronger." He smiled. "You were brave today. I'm proud of you." Maya leaned her head on his shoulder. "Thanks for showing up." Marcus nodded. "Always. But remember, next time, you won't need me." Maya looked at him and smiled. "Maybe. But it felt good knowing you were behind me." They sat in silence for a moment. Then Maya picked up her phone. It was filled with messages. Strangers, friends, activists, even airline employees, all saying the same thing. "Thank you for speaking up." But the story wasn't over yet, because while Maya was home, another woman, the white woman who had taken her seat, was watching the news too. And she wasn't happy. She picked up her phone and made a call. "Yeah, I need to speak to someone. I'm being attacked online. And all because of that girl." Her voice was sharp, angry, bitter. "I'm going to tell my side of the story. I'm not the villain here." She ended the call and looked in the mirror. This wasn't over. Not yet. In a quiet, expensive-looking apartment across town, Cheryl Whitman sat on her white leather sofa, clutching her phone tightly. Her face was red with anger. Every time she opened social media, there were more comments, more hate. "This is the woman who stole Maya's seat. Entitled and racist." She didn't even apologize. Cheryl was used to being respected. She was a business consultant. She drove a luxury car, and people usually treated her like a VIP. But now, she was being called names by strangers online. Her phone buzzed again. Another hateful message. "This isn't fair," she said aloud to herself. "I didn't do anything wrong." She stood up and started pacing. In her mind, she was the victim. She believed she had only accepted the seat the airline offered her. She hadn't yelled. She hadn't attacked anyone. So why was everyone turning on her? She called her friend and snapped, "I'm going to clear my name. I'll tell the real story. I'll make them see I'm not the bad guy." The interview that changed everything. The next day, Cheryl contacted a small online news channel that often gave voice to controversial opinions. She knew they would let her speak freely. They agreed to do a live interview. The video was titled, "The Truth About Flight 804, Cheryl Speaks Out." Cheryl wore a professional outfit. She looked serious, calm, ready. The host smiled and welcomed her. "Cheryl, the internet is calling you the villain. How does that feel?" Cheryl sighed. "It's hard. People are judging me without knowing the full story." The host leaned in. "Tell us, what really happened on that flight?" Cheryl nodded and began. "I was just flying home for a business meeting. When I got to the gate, the agent said they had an open seat in first class. I didn't argue. I just accepted it. I had no idea it belonged to someone else." She continued, "I didn't know the young woman was the daughter of someone important. If I had known, I would have offered it back." Then she said something that made the internet explode. Honestly, she seemed fine sitting back there. She wasn't even crying. People are making this into something bigger than it is. Maybe she should have spoken up if it bothered her. The internet responds. Within minutes, clips of the interview were everywhere, and people were furious. She just said Maya should have spoken up. Wow. This is exactly why Maya's story matters. So entitled, she still doesn't get it. Even people who hadn't cared much before were now paying attention. Cheryl's words sounded cold and dismissive. Instead of helping her case, she had made it worse. The backlash was fast and strong. Sponsors pulled back from her business. Clients canceled appointments. Her social media accounts were flooded with angry comments. She tried to defend herself, but it was too late. Her words had revealed exactly the kind of person the internet believed she was. Maya's response, simple but powerful. Maya saw the interview clip on her phone. She watched it once, then again. Then she opened her own camera, took a breath, and recorded a short message. It was only 60 seconds long. She didn't attack Cheryl. She didn't shout. She simply said, "I didn't cry that day because I was tired of crying. I've faced this kind of thing before, being ignored, pushed aside, treated like I don't belong. But I stayed quiet too many times. This time, I didn't have to speak, because the world finally did." She ended with, "And to anyone watching, if this happened to you, I see you. You're not alone." That video went viral. People around the world reposted it with the hashtag I see you. Celebrities shared it. News channels quoted it. Other victims of racism shared their own stories. Maya's calm voice had shaken more hearts than Cheryl's angry excuses ever could. Back at Cheryl's apartment, Cheryl sat on her sofa again, but this time, she was silent. Her phone lay face down. She had thought she could control the story. She had thought she could fix her image. But instead, she had proven what everyone feared, that people like her didn't listen, that they only cared when they became the victim. Her own words had burned the bridge. And Maya, she hadn't even needed to fight back. The airline takes the next step. Behind the scenes, the airline was working fast. They launched a new training program for all employees, focused on respect, inclusion, and fairness. The CEO even held a press conference and said, "We failed Maya Johnson, but her strength has opened our eyes. We are changing, not just for her, but for every passenger we've ever overlooked." They offered Maya a role in their advisory team, helping to guide better customer care policies. And Maya, she agreed, but only under one condition. "This can't just be for show. I want real change. I want staff to be trained, passengers to be heard, and people like me to feel safe, no matter what seat they're in." The CEO nodded. And just like that, Maya went from being a passenger to becoming a voice for millions. Weeks had passed since the flight, but the world still remembered Maya Johnson. Her video, where she quietly said, "I see you. You're not alone," had reached millions. People from all over the country, even other countries, were sending her messages. Some said her story made them cry. Others said it gave them courage to speak out. And some simply said, "Thank you for not staying silent." A new beginning. One morning, Maya walked into the airline headquarters. It wasn't to complain. It wasn't to protest. This time, she was there as an official guest, a consultant helping the company improve how it treated passengers. She wore a simple blouse and black pants, no fancy designer bag, no security, just Maya. But when she entered the meeting room, the room stood still. Executives, managers, and directors, they all turned to face her. The CEO stepped forward and smiled. "Miss Johnson, welcome. We've heard a lot about you." Maya gave a polite nod. "Thank you. I'm not here to be famous. I'm here to make sure this doesn't happen again." And with that, she sat down and opened her notebook. She was ready to work. Real changes begin. Over the next few weeks, Maya helped create something powerful. It was called the Passenger Respect Policy, a new rulebook for every airline employee. The policy included no seat changes without full passenger agreement, diversity and bias training for all crew members, a direct phone line for discrimination complaints, monthly reviews of employee behavior reports, public tracking of company progress, and at the front of the booklet was a simple quote, "Everyone deserves respect, no matter the seat, no matter the color." That quote was from Maya, and her name was printed right underneath. The conference that moved millions Later that month, Maya was invited to speak at a national travel and business conference. It was her first time standing on a big stage. Cameras were everywhere. Thousands of people filled the room. She took a deep breath before speaking. "I'm not a celebrity. I'm not a politician. I'm just someone who bought a ticket," and was treated like she didn't matter. The room was silent. But something amazing happened. People cared. People spoke up. Not just for me, but for all the voices that were never heard. Then she said something that made the entire crowd rise to their feet. "My father gave me back my seat, but all of you, you gave me back my voice." The applause was loud. Some people had tears in their eyes. In that moment, Maya wasn't just a passenger anymore. She was a leader. Online, a movement grows. On social media, the hashtag #ICU was now everywhere. People posted photos of themselves sharing their own travel stories, good and bad. Some said they were treated unfairly because of their race, their clothes, their language. Others said they had stayed quiet in the past, but wouldn't anymore. And many said, "Because of Maya, I now speak up." Even other airlines started copying the new policies Maya helped design. The movement had become bigger than one flight. It had become a wake-up call. At home, a simple conversation. One night, Maya sat with her dad on their small balcony. The stars were out, and the air was quiet. Marcus looked at her and smiled. "You've done something powerful, Maya." She looked down and shrugged. "I just told the truth." He shook his head. "You didn't just tell it. You lived it." They sat in silence for a moment. Then Marcus added, "You know, there was a time when I didn't think change was possible. But after watching you, I believe again." Maya smiled. "I didn't change the world, Dad. Just one airline." Marcus looked at her gently, and sometimes that's how it starts. But one person still had plans. Far away, in a dark apartment, Cheryl sat alone. She watched Maya on TV, being praised, being loved. She gritted her teeth. "She's not perfect," Cheryl whispered. "She's hiding something, and I'm going to find it." She opened her laptop. A blank email screen appeared, and she began typing. "To whom it may concern, I have information about Maya Johnson." Maya was finally feeling peace. She had helped change an airline. She had started a national movement. She had become a voice for so many who were silenced. But peace doesn't always last. One morning, she woke up to find hundreds of messages on her phone. Not the usual kind. These were different, confused, angry, some even hurt. "Why didn't you tell us the whole story? Were you hiding this? Now it all makes sense." Maya sat up, heart racing. She opened her laptop, and there it was, a blog post with the title, "The Truth About Maya Johnson, What the Media Didn't Tell You." It had been written by Cheryl Whitman. The accusation. Cheryl's blog post claimed that Maya had once been removed from a different flight, 2 years ago, for causing a scene. She said Maya had a history of trouble with airline staff and suggested Maya wasn't the calm victim people thought she was. "She's not innocent," Cheryl wrote. "She's just good at playing the role." The post spread fast. People were shocked, confused. Some started questioning Maya. Is this true? Maya stays silent. For now, Maya didn't reply immediately. She sat quietly, thinking. She remembered the incident Cheryl was talking about. It had happened 2 years ago, when she was flying back from college. Yes, she had gotten upset, but no one knew why. No one knew the full story, the real story, a flashback. It was a cold night in January. Maya had just finished her final exams. She was tired, stressed, and worried about her sick mother at home. At the airport, a gate agent had ignored her twice, calling other passengers before her, even though she had checked in early. When Maya politely asked why, the agent had rolled her eyes and said, "Maybe you should just wait like everyone else, sweetheart." Then, The agent called security. They said Maya was being loud and aggressive. She was escorted away. No yelling, no threats, just tears in her eyes and embarrassment on her face. No one filmed it. No one stood up for her. She had never told anyone, not even her father. The press conference. Now, 2 years later, the past was back. Everyone expected Maya to defend herself, to fight back, to deny. Instead, she called a press conference. She stood at the podium, alone, calm, strong, and then she did something no one expected. She told the truth. Yes, I was removed from a flight 2 years ago. I was tired, stressed, and worried about my mom. And I was ignored. I asked a simple question and was treated like a problem. She paused. I was ashamed. I never told anyone. But that moment, it made me who I am today. It showed me what silence feels like. And that's why, this time, I didn't stay silent. The room was silent. Then, slowly, people started clapping. Support comes pouring in. After the conference, social media exploded, but not with hate, with love. Her honesty is powerful. Now I respect her even more. She's real. That's what matters. Even news outlets who had doubted her now praised her courage. Maya hadn't just protected her name. She had opened up her heart. And Cheryl, her plan had failed. Instead of ruining Maya, she had only made her more human, more loved. People saw Cheryl's blog for what it was: jealousy, bitterness, a desperate attempt to hurt someone doing good. Cheryl deleted her post, but it was too late. The world had moved on, and Maya had moved forward. 3 years had passed since that famous flight. The world had changed. Airlines were more careful, more respectful, more aware. And Equal Skies, Maya Johnson's nonprofit, had trained over 15,000 airline workers in kindness, equality, and justice. But Maya never bragged. She kept things simple. She still lived in the same apartment, still drank her morning coffee on the small balcony with her dad, still smiled when strangers recognized her and said, "Thank you." But nothing could have prepared her for what happened next. The school visit that changed everything. One afternoon, Maya was invited to speak at a local high school. It wasn't a fancy event, just a small group of students who were learning about leadership and social justice. She stood at the front of the classroom with her usual calm voice. "I wasn't trying to be a hero," she told the teens. "I was just trying to be seen." She shared her story: the flight, the viral video, the backlash, the healing. The students listened quietly. Then, during the Q&A, one girl raised her hand slowly. She looked nervous. Her voice shook as she said, "Miss Maya, 3 years ago, I was on that plane. I was 12. I saw everything." Maya looked at her, surprised. The girl continued, "I was sitting in row 14 with my mom. When they gave your seat away, I remember asking her, 'Why are they doing that to the black lady?' My mom just held my hand and said, 'That's how the world is sometimes.'" She paused, holding back tears. "But then you didn't scream. You didn't curse. You just made one call. And the way things changed after that, it changed me too." The girl's voice cracked. "Now I want to be a civil rights lawyer. Because of you. Because I saw someone who fought back without hate." The room was silent. Then the girl stepped forward and hugged Maya tightly. The teacher cried. A few students wiped their eyes. And Maya, she just whispered, "Thank you for remembering." Later that night, Maya sat on her balcony again. The stars were out. The city was quiet. Her father walked over, carrying 2 cups of tea. He smiled. "You thought you were fighting for your seat, but it turns out you were planting seeds." Maya looked up at the sky and whispered, "Maybe that's how real change works, one quiet heart at a time."